Okay, here we go. Hey everyone, hey guys. I hope I am live. I will just take a minute to confirm that. I, I think I'm live. Yeah. Okay, just a minute. All right. Hello and welcome everyone to the very first episode of Talk About It. My name is Anushree and I'll be your host. I'm currently just about myself that I'm currently based in Malaysia and I've been working with the software industry for past 14 years now and yet I haven't given up on life. I know which is not so common in our profession. Okay, so talking about this show, we're going to speak to some amazing people here who have, in one way or other, living life which is inspiring. These people are defying societal norms and living with an awareness about true self and happiness. During this show, we'll try to tap the formula, of gathering courage, follow our hearts, and eventually have an awareness about our happy self. So, let's get started with that. All right, so here's a thought. Every time I try to connect to the society where I can contribute in some way or the other, I feel a sense of achievement and happiness as well, like probably many of us. There's so many issues in the society where I would literally get agitated and then I would want to fix it. But maybe I would leave it there, that thought, in a box in my head. It would never get converted to a substantial and an effective action plan, so now, when I retrospect, then I realize it could be due to various reasons that have been inculcated in the living beliefs since ages. For example, the perception of getting affected or impacted by anything which has a societal issues is portrayed as a symbol of, say, weakness or too emotional, not so logical, not affordable at all, etc., etc. Even if I ignore these perceptions, I have never been taught how to build a great career out of it. Because at the end of the day, we all have needs and desires in life, right? When we talk about a giver in the society, we immediately build an image where the person would have sacrificed their needs, lost enthusiasm to enjoy this life. But is it really true? How do I measure my determination to be working for the society? Because that brings me happiness, right? But it also conventionally comes across as a barter to my living needs. If I pursue that box in my head, right? Is there any smart way to fulfill my desire to be a giver to the society, yet have a content and happy life? And what exactly is the happiness in such lives? Is that the trigger or what? Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are going to crack this code right here on this show. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce my very first guest on the show, Rohit Kumar. Okay. Hey, Rohit. And sorry for that, Rohit has been working in Apni Shala Foundation for Child Education since years. Before I begin this conversation, I would like to play a short clip for the audience that would show the kind of work Apni Shala has been consistently doing over these years. So I would like to play that and just watch.
service learning program. The aim is basically to take children, adolescent children, from the age group of 12 and above in schools through a process of learning through service. So by service we mean service to the community and service to themselves. So it's based on the Gandhian philosophy.
माझ्या रागावर कंट्रोल ठेवला आणि म्हटलं नाही बाबा असं सोडायचं. एवढं सगळं आपण केलं, किती मेहनत केली, आठवलं, एवढं फिरलो, इकडे तिकडे फिरलो, एवढी मेहनत केली आणि नंतर आता सोडायचं नाही बाबा.
हो, बोलताना घाबरायचं नाही, आहे ते मन खोलून बोलायचं.
Some kids who wouldn't get along with anybody in a team was now willing to step back so that his teammate could come forward and ask questions during their research. So whether it's cooperation or whether it's critical thinking or whether it's self-awareness and confidence, I think these are some of the highlights that have stood out for us.
So I think Khoj is creating a space where students enjoy being with teachers, they enjoy sharing their personal things with teachers, and students do come and tell me also some stories, whatever happened at their home, which I never did at my school.
Our conversation is that yes, we are doing some work with students, but we need to become a larger learning community where parents understand the needs of children, where we also understand parents' needs, because that inspires what is happening in the classroom. So we formed a school management committee where parents nominated themselves and then they presented their opinions in the parent meeting, and then other parents voted in favor of the folks that they were interested in representing them. Now this SMC meets every month to kind of take some of the key decisions of the school. So we have these conversations with them, whether it is about the dress of the school or expenses of the school or finding new classrooms for the school. All of these conversations are done with the parents now.
The relationship that we have with the students is just amazing. Students don't want to go home. A lot of time we have to tell them, please go home, now school is over. A lot of time when they're sick, they insist that they want to come to the school, but we actually have to tell them to go back. So I think that's been a wonderful relationship, and our focus is on experiential education. So we try to create a lot of opportunities where students can explore, feel, touch, see, observe. So I think those kind of opportunities been created within the classrooms. We come from certain kind of a background, say low-income communities, and we lived in slum areas. That doesn't mean that we don't have rights to live the life the way we want.
All right. So yeah, that is some incredible work that's going on there. And I really like the last portion where it's being said that even if some kids are coming from a low income society, they have full rights to live the way they want to, right? So that's amazing there. And on this note, I would like to welcome Rohit on the show. Thanks, Rohit, and I really appreciate that you are joining here with me on my very first show. So thank you for that. And I would request you to just go ahead, introduce yourself, and tell our audience about the kind of work that you've been doing, and more importantly, the journey that you have been through so far. That would be great.
Thanks, Anushree. Am I audible?
Yes, you're perfectly audible.
It's a real pleasure for me to be here with you today. I remember when the first time you asked about this whole idea, I was like, sure, why not? Anything an IT engineer aims to do different than IT. It feels like a community, because that's what I am. I work right now at this organization called Apni Shala Foundation, and we work with children's social and emotional development. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But the idea is that how can all children, or as Sangeeta, my colleague, was speaking about it in the video as well, that how can we ensure that all children in the country, in the world, in this lovely planet that we live on, can have equitable access to opportunities so that they can realize their fullest of potentials, right? ये किसी के किस्मत की सिर्फ बात नहीं होनी चाहिए कि मैं किसी तरह के घर में पैदा हो गया या मैं किसी एक तरह के जाति या लिंग के साथ पैदा हो गया तो मेरी किस्मत उससे लिख दी जाए, राइट? सो हाउ डू वी चैलेंज दैट नैरेटिव with a lot of love and compassion and hope and joyfulness, मजे के साथ कैसे उसको किया जा सकता है? That's what we try to do at Apni Shala. That's what my work is.
That's amazing. And yeah, like often these topics are very made very heavy. So like you said, you're doing it in a way where children are enjoying that concept and learning at the same time. So talking about, I know like this, where you are at the moment is great, but I want to go back. I want to go back to the time where you started. How did you started this whole journey? If you can briefly tell
Yeah,
me.
I think uh, it's like it sounds so vague and blurry in
Yeah.
my mind.
Yeah.
I think it टेक कहीं ना कहीं तो वो एक फीलिंग थी अनुश्री की मतलब मुझे जिस तरह का काम करना था आई वाजंट मेंट टू बी इन आईटी
Yeah.
I was a science student. So in northern UP, most boys do science, most boys do engineering or medical or UPSC. Uh, at least in the days that I was growing up, that was the trend. I don't know what is happening now. So I also did that. I have studied from an military school. वहाँ से निकल के then I did पहले मिलिट्री में जाने का ट्रेनिंग किया वहाँ पे नहीं हुआ. Then I did my uh, computer application. I did my bachelor's in computer applications. Then I kind of did my master's in software engineering. Then I worked with a company called Tata Consultancy Services for almost 5 years, I would say.
Yeah.
I think I was a decent engineer, by the way. I was pretty
I'm
good
very
with
sure about that.
coding, etc. But I think what also happened was I was living in Bombay, and on weekends, TCS had this really lovely program called My3, where they would ask their employees to volunteer and go and teach in different schools and communities which did not have a very good access to education.
Yeah.
और engineers दो चीजें तो ठीक ठाक सो उनको लगता है कि आती हैं इंग्लिश और मैथ राइट क्योंकि ये तो करके आए हैं टाइप्स तो आई सेड ठीक है इंग्लिश तो थोड़ा बता ही सकते हैं इतना
या
सीखा
तो कॉपी पेस्ट.
है copy paste. So I think that's how it all started. I started, I mean, first 6-7 months you are enjoying your life when all of us, I mean, you started earning. वीकेंड पे बहुत सारा सिनेमा देख लिया मॉल्स घूम लिया उसका क्या करेंगे लाइक एवरी संडे व्हाट यू डू राइट so after the point I was like ठीक है चलो ये भी ट्राई करके देखते हैं kind of thing and that's where it all started and frankly for first 6 months I didn't even teach. I had a really lovely other volunteer. He was a very senior volunteer, so he would teach and I would sit in his class in the back seat. मैं पीछे किसी में बैठता था वो जो वहां के 4-5 बच्चे होते थे ना बैक बेंचर्स वो पढ़ते नहीं थे वो आते थे एवरी संडे और सुंदर सर की क्लास हुआ करती थी वो आपस में कुछ तो करते थे तो मैं उनके साथ बैठ के उनसे बातें करता and I think for 6 months I have just observed what it would look like and I think that school is science school science it's in Sion in Mumbai and that school was actually the kickstart of everything that has happened in my life. From there then I kind of slowly kind of moved from one place to other but yeah that's how it all started as a volunteer and then I very soon realized that the way a doctor cannot come and code and the way an engineer cannot go and perform surgery to be able to teach I need to have the training for teaching and I think I cannot be an engineer and assume just because I've been to a school and I've studied myself I cannot assume that I can teach because teaching itself is a science and art right it requires a certain kind of mindset and skilling and knowledge to be able to kind of really do justice to children who are kind of coming into your classroom. So yeah, I think that was the start.
Okay, so like these are the factual stuff. Joe, that time that might have happened, and then now you're sitting here, like of course, after so many years, you're able to easily speak about it. But then I want to know, like, what are the factors which made you decide to go for this? Because you are there working for TCS, like Acha MNC and everything. I'm sure on sites and everything is there. But at that time, you left. I would say you didn't like you left it left the IT part of it, but joined this social path. And but what was that factor that kept on working as a drive behind your all decisions?
So I think when I think about myself, no, Anushree, बहुत बड़े कुछ plans नहीं होते हैं मेरे.
Right.
मेरे in that moment by moment साल दर साल
Exactly.
उस समय मुझे क्या मजा आ रहा है और क्या करना चाहता हूँ, वैसी एक फीलिंग थी. बट आई थिंक उस समय एक चीज थी कि जब आप उन क्लासरूम्स में होते हो ना, संडेज को व्हेन आई वाज इन दोस क्लास, इट जस्ट फेल्ट राइट.
Yeah.
But when I would sit in my cubicle, even though I was almost rated 4 out of 5 in my mid-year
Yeah.
appraisals, वो felt right वाली फीलिंग नहीं थी. मतलब ठीक, मतलब कोडिंग ठीक ठाक कर लेता था. आई मीन ऐसा नहीं कि बहुत टॉप कोडर था, बट ठीक ठाक कोडिंग कर लेता था, अच्छे दोस्त थे, मजा नहीं लाइफ थी. लेकिन
Right.
वो जो फीलिंग आती है ना कि यहाँ सब ठीक है, ये दिस इज वेयर आई नीड टू बी, राइट, वो वाली फीलिंग नहीं थी. एंड आई थिंक when I went into the classroom, that was the feel. So frankly speaking, I didn't go. I mean, I didn't kind of move into this work because I wanted to change the world or whatever shit like that. I mean, that was never my intention.
Okay.
I actually entered the world because it just felt that ये एक चीज है जो शायद मैं करना चाहता हूँ. अच्छी आती भी नहीं है, सीखना पड़ेगा. I think वो धीरे धीरे डेवलप हुई. So it wasn't like a सोचा समझा डिसीजन, मतलब इसको ट्राई करके देखते हैं. तो मैं बहुत ज्यादा ट्राई करना चाह सकता हूँ कि नई चीजें ट्राई करते हैं, देखते हैं क्या होगा. और एंड तब तक एक और चीज थी, आई थिंक कुछ एक चीजें इसमें कंट्रीब्यूट की हैं. One, I was in a boarding school since very early on in my life. I have studied in boarding for grade 6 onwards, right? So I am very used to taking my own decisions.
Alright.
तो
Yeah.
I mean, मुझे मेरी जिंदगी के साथ क्या करना है, ये एक डिसीजन मोस्टली मेरा होता है. वो आई थिंक एक कल्चरल नॉर्म नहीं है, स्पेशली नॉर्दर्न इंडिया में नहीं है.
It is not.
नॉर्दर्न
Yeah.
इंडिया इट इज वेरी, मम्मी पापा तो हैं ही, भाई बहन तो हैं, चाचा चाची दादा दादी सब लोग तुम्हारे डिसीजन को करते हैं, राइट.
Right.
तो वो
Yeah,
I
like
think
they will
मेरा-
tell you कि आपको ये करना है, फिर आप उधर जाओ, and by the time you realize what you want to do in your life, you're already there inside.
Right. Yeah, so I think that was one thing कि मुझे बहुत मजा आने लगा था. और वॉलंटियर्स की जो टीम थी ना, वो भी बहुत अच्छी थी. तो साइंस स्कूल में और द काइंड ऑफ अदर, तो एक बहुत बड़ा बहुत खुश मिजाजी थी वहाँ पे. एंड आई थिंक दैट वाज वन ऑफ द रीजंस दैट आई स्टार्टेड अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट व्हाट गिव्स मी contentment, right? And then there was a time that typically it's like, you know, there's always an opportunity knocking at your door kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think I would say I have been very lucky in that sense that opportunities have come in my way, and in those times I had enough mentors and supports to guide me. So when, say for example, when I was working in TCS, there was an opportunity that opened up, that there was a opening in corporate Maitri team, right?
Okay.
Now it was within TCS, तो TCS छोड़ना भी नहीं था, सैलरी भी मोर और लेस सेम रहती, और मुझे शायद वो काम करने को ज्यादा मिलता जो मैं समझना चाहता हूँ, right?
Right.
So I applied for it. I consulted couple of senior persons who were there. I consulted people who were in my life. In fact, when I consulted my Jiju, he was not very pro, because he is someone I would consult for almost everything. I was like, it's not a very good decision. I was like, और डर गया मैं, अरे यार shit, जीजू बोल रहे हैं कि ठीक डिसीजन नहीं है.
And this is one point I want to talk about in a while also.
Yeah. फिर पापा को तो बताया नहीं था. Like I'm not going to talk to him about it. क्योंकि कंपनी का नाम चेंज नहीं हो रहा था, मेरा डेजिग्नेशन नहीं चेंज हो रहा था. I was like, this is a safe bet. अगर कुछ भी खराब हुआ, I can always come back.
Yeah.
Because कोडिंग तो आती है ना, वो तो कहाँ ही जाएगी. So I think the push also came because there are times, you know, in moments of your life where you have to take some decision that is going to kind of impact in a longer way. So during the same time I was being offered online, I was told that अभी तुम्हारा 2 साल करीब हो गया है, तो उसके बाद ऑनलाइन मिलता ही है typically. Especially हमारा project was US based project, तो वो सब बातें शुरू हो रही थी. And I was like, मेरे पास पासपोर्ट नहीं है. I was like, अगर ऑनलाइन चला गया, अब मैं ऑन साइट चले गया, तो फिर ये सब मिलेगा कि नहीं करने को, वहाँ पे पढ़ा पाऊंगा नहीं पढ़ा पाऊंगा. All of those things started coming, and when that question came, right, if I'm going on site, I'm going to miss this. That's when I realized that this matters to me. Otherwise, I mean, you think about many factors, like मम्मी पापा पास में नहीं होंगे, which was also a factor. और बहुत सारे और factors थे which were very routine factors, right? You think about them, but thinking about this, that I'm going to miss this if I go on site, was a big, you know, reveal for me that this matters to me somehow. And I think that kind of, I was like, यार, if it matters, then कुछ तो होगी बात. And when I applied for corporate Maitri, I got through, which also helped. So I think बहुत ज़्यादा economic impact नहीं आया, because I was also kind of, you know, paying off my loans. I did my master's using a loan, so I had to kind of pay back all of that. So I was like, I was playing it in a way that I am getting to understand the space. It is not having a huge impact on my day-to-day living. Rent हो गया, बहुत बड़ा और बहुत ज्यादा घर वालों से झगड़ा भी नहीं करना है. Moments for me, and I think when I went to corporate Maitri, then again for any CSR for a company, they do a lot of things, right? They do education and environment and women empowerment and so on and so forth. Having spent around 2 years there, that's when I realized that my calling is in education, and I want to kind of spend time with young people, being in the schools, being in that kind of teaching learning settings, right? And by that time, I was very, very clear that I have to kind of also understand it from, I need to get a training for that. So I had applied for my master's in education at TISS. 3 बार reject किया उन्होंने. 1 बार, 2 बार, 3 बार, तीसरी बार तो in fact I had the same interviewers on the panel, and they were like, "तू वापस आ गया यार." Yes, मैं आ गया. Because that was the only course that would have allowed me to study as well as work, because it was I'm talking about 2011-13. And that was possibly the only well-recognized, well-developed dual mode course which was offering online and in-person training. So it really worked for me because I didn't have to leave my job. मुझे अपना course का fees खुद ही से जमा करना था, पुराना loan भरना था. All of that had to happen, right? And that was also the time that I had kind of was sure that abhi education is the area I want to go into. Now in that also, I applied for a fellowship. उस समय there was a fellowship that had come in where they were offering 2 years fellowship and teaching opportunity in the classroom. और मैंने भरना शुरू किया, but I was like, नहीं यार, stipend पे मैं survive नहीं कर पाऊंगा. I was living in Bombay. I had to pay off my loans, college की fees भरनी थी. So I was like, I needed to be in a job that salary कम हो, but इतनी कम ना हो कि it becomes like घर से पैसे मांगने पड़े, right? So वो सब calculation किया, and then I found a job in Akanksha Foundation, which was very aligned to the skill set I had. So I was doing data warehousing in TCS, right? I was working on Informatica and stuff like that. So एक data को समझने की skill थी, and Akanksha had a role called impact manager, where they would analyze data of their schools to understand the impact of their work, right? That really mapped. So again, right opportunity opened up. I mapped my skill, looked at the budgeting, and then I said, this is a decent opportunity for me to kind of enter into education. Parallelly, my course was running in TIS. I worked with Akanksha again for another 4 years. Joined as an impact manager, but internally I moved a lot. So I think one thing that I did, I'm kind of, now I'm thinking as I'm reflecting with your question, is that I volunteer a lot with the organization as well, right? So अभी मैं impact manager तो बन गया, लेकिन आकांक्षा में ही मैं किसी दिन आर्ट क्लास में जाके वॉलंटियर करता था, या किसी कोई लीडरशिप क्लास हो रही है वहां जाके वॉलंटियर करता था. I mean, I would just dabble into a lot of things for me to, because मेरे लिए important था कि मैं समझूं कि ये स्पेस क्या है, काम क्या है, हो क्या रहा है. So that is what I would do a lot in the beginning. I don't know whether I've drifted a lot from your question. Please bring me back.
No, it is great. And what I felt is that, you see, like there is no reference of how to approach this. Let's say if somebody wants to be working for a child education where it is something for a social cause, there's no reference usually around us. So probably that is the reason you volunteer everywhere, and probably you got the right chances. It's a proven fact, right? Nobody is very lucky. Only luck comes to those who are working hard towards it, and you tried things and then you mapped your necessities, and that is a great way, because it's I don't think कि आजकल वो चलेगा कि मैं सब कुछ छोड़ के संन्यास लेके मैं दुनिया का भला करने वाला हूँ. It doesn't works like that. You need to have a plan, and there are no references like for you and probably many of us. So it's a great way that you tapped into various things and then you carved your own career path out of it. But at the same time, I don't see that you compromised with your needs. You didn't just like one day ki I'll leave everything and I'll just go for this. So that's a great thing and very interesting point there I found. And I want to now know about the non-acceptance that you just mentioned, like घर में parents के साथ जीजा जी या किसी relatives and everybody, they are like non-acceptance. And non-acceptance, what it does is that it brings self-doubts to you, right? So how did you handle the self-doubts? Because here you are, maybe you're 24, 25 years old, trying new things, and everybody is telling you, no, this is not the right path. Then still you pursue that path. So did you introspect on that aspect? Like, how did you overcome that?
I don't know. I think it seems like that I'm just like used to taking my own decisions. I mean, I tell my
Exactly.
decisions to
Could
people.
be, yeah, yeah.
I think couple of people really matter to me. That I really want
Okay.
them to, stand by me. Like for example, my Jiju was one of them.
Yeah.
He's no more, but I think when till the time he was, I
I'm
was like
sorry.
I would consult him for every decision that I would take. My mother was someone that I really adore, and like she was like, if she says, "हाँ बेटा ठीक है, तू कर ले," kind of thing, then it works for me. Um, and then बाकी family members, of course, you talk to them, you kind of दीदी हैं, भैया हैं, पापा हैं. Papa was actually very angry. He was like, he wouldn't talk to me even when I was like, I would call. He would not talk to me after he knew that I have made this, kind of changed my. I've left TCS and joined Akanksha.
Oh, wow.
He would directly pass on the phone to mommy. One thing that helped was I wasn't living with any of them. No, seriously, like अगर सोचो कि वो चीज डे टू डे बोले नालायक हो क्या चेंज कर दिया तुमने इतना अच्छा जॉब था वर्सेस
Right.
फोन पे एक बार सुन लिया हफ्ते में
Right,
right
right.
so I was living with my friends that really helped right and मेरे friends कुछ कुछ ऐसे वैसे ही लोग थे जो लाइक अपनी जिंदगी में कुछ कुछ ट्राई मार रहे हैं right so that really
Right.
genuinely helped. I mean, it sounds funny when I'm saying this right now. That was one thing that really, really helped. I didn't go home for almost a year. I was like, ठीक है. और mummy was like, she would always ask, तुम खुश हो क्या? Right. I think
Okay.
my mother was,
That in
yeah,
itself is unconventional.
yeah.
Many,
Yeah, I
like
think
not
my
many
mother
of us
was
have.
unconventional in so many ways. Like, I mean,
That's great.
she's someone who's kind of uh, it's interesting that I'm speaking about it that neither my Jiju nor my mother is anymore. Both of them have passed away. So I think that was a faith का मम्मी हाँ बोल रही है right उसके बाद बाकी लोगों को मना लेंगे and you know what the funny part is that सब लोग मान जाते हैं over a period of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think what also supported was my sister who they had moved my sister my Jeju had moved to Bombay and my elder sister she was a rock solid support right she would understand she will spend time to understand she won't say yes to everything she'll take time to understand and then she will stand by you so
Okay.
ऐसे कुछ लोग थे लाइफ में
Okay.
एंड देन बाकी लोग गेट अलोंग और नहीं भी
Yeah.
हुआ तो देन एंड दूसरी चीज ये है ना कि अनु इसको करने में इतना मजा आता है तुम भूल जाते हो ऑन डे टू डे बेसिस
Exactly. Yeah, that is probably the drive, right, which
या
is there, and you can feel it.
या सो आई थिंक जैसे आकांक्षा में भी लोग इतने पैशनेट थे ना जिन लोगों के साथ मैं
Right.
काम करता था जो टीम थी जो कॉलीग्स थे इतने मजेदार लोग थे कि वो अपने काम को इतना मजा लेके करते थे कि मुझे मजा आता था कि फिर ये सब सोचने का टाइम ही नहीं मिलता था जब मेरे पापा मुझसे नाराज हैं या फिर मेरे भाई को लगता है कि मैं गड़बड़ काम कर रहा हूँ वो टाइम ही नहीं था राइट मजे ले रहे थे और सीख रहे थे कर रहे थे आई थिंक दैट वाज आई थिंक उसमें फिर ये ध्यान नहीं रहता कि लोग क्या कहेंगे सिंड्रोम राइट
Right.
या आई डोंट नो
So yeah, so what now I'm thinking is that overall, the drive is happiness, and of course the opinions and acceptance of the loved ones near you, right? If that is there, then somebody can go ahead and just do whatever they want to do. It doesn't matter and all. But during this thing, like, did you ever felt like you're sacrificing anything, or it gave you too much? Like on the contrary, it gave you too much. This whole journey gave you too much, as in more than what you expected, or did you had to sacrifice some of the needs or anything? I think I'm losing Rohit for a while. Hey, Rohit. People on the chat can. Okay, Rohit is back. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, Rohit, sorry. I think I lost you for a few minutes.
Yes, yes. Can you please ask your question again?
Yeah. So I was asking that I understand now the drive behind this, and that's happiness. That's something that you just wanted to do and go ahead for it. And then the non acceptance didn't matter if there's acceptance with certain set of people around you. But in this way, in this journey, like, did you ever felt like sacrificing any of your needs or anything in this entire journey? Or on the contrary, does this journey gave you more than what you expected so far?
I'm
I
going to
don't know
say
if
something
I'm.
which may be controversial, right?
Oh, go ahead.
Uh, I think no one sacrifices anything.
Yeah.
That's something that I fundamentally have come to believe. हम वो सब करते हैं जो हमें सही लगता है ना? I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Mothers prioritize their children over other things. For the world, it
Yeah.
might seem like sacrifice, but they are doing it with an intention, right? Uh, I think what happens is there are systemic issues. For example, patriarchy is a real issue, right?
It is.
उसमें
Yeah.
women are made to choose certain things, and उसमें हम बोल सकते हैं कि वो भी sacrifice नहीं है, वो फिर मजबूरी है ना.
Right. Of
If
course.
all women had the option to choose children over career over or balance or whatever, then they would have made choices, right? So I prefer not to use a word sacrifice. I think मैंने जो कुछ, say for example, if I had to let go of a certain amount of money coming to my bank versus what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, it was a
Yeah.
choice I was making, and I think at no point I made any sacrifice.
That's
I,
amazing.
I
That's
think
very interesting.
yeah, I think it was a very intentional choices that I was making, uh, and we all choose, right? हम choose करते. कुछ लोग बड़ी गाड़ी छोड़ के बड़ा घर लेना पसंद करते हैं, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
कुछ लोग बड़ा घर नहीं चाहिए, रेंट के घर में रह लेंगे पर गाड़ियां 3 चाहिए, right? एक तरह के कपड़े चाहिए, एक तरह की कॉलेज डिग्री चाहिए. So we are all
Right.
making those choices ongoingly. So I was making a choice. मुझे US उस वक्त नहीं चाहिए था. बाद में मिला, by the way. I went on a scholarship to do a program in US.
Okay.
बट उस वक्त नहीं चाहिए था. उस वक्त चाहिए था कि मैं अपने मंडे टू फ्राइडे के काम को एंजॉय करूं, सीखूं कि शिक्षा का काम कैसे होता है, सीखूं कि पढ़ते पढ़ाते कैसे हैं.
Yeah.
That was what I was choosing to do. But yeah, I think इसके साथ एक बड़ा इशू ये भी है कि बहुत लोगों की चॉइसेस इंडिपेंडेंट नहीं होती हर वक्त.
Exactly.
वो जैसे कि मैंने जेंडर का एग्जांपल लिया, वैसे ही अलग सोशल क्लास का एग्जांपल हो सकता है या फिर कास्ट का एग्जांपल हो सकता है, जहाँ पे कुछ लोगों को वो करना पड़ता है बिकॉज ऑफ द सोशल स्ट्रक्चर्स, एंड दैट नीड्स टू चेंज. बट या, आई डोंट नो वेदर आई एम रिस्पॉन्डिंग टू योर क्वेश्चन.
Yeah. No, no, it does. It did make sense, of course. That you're right. Actually, there's nothing like sacrifice when you are doing something on a daily basis, and you've made your choices, and that is great because probably the kind of happiness you receive from it is much more larger than any other thing. So that's great. With this note, I want to move to our next segment. Okay, so in this segment, Rohit, I will ask certain questions about some of the moments or incidents specifically, if you can recall, where you realize something. So for me, I call it moments of truth. Okay, so I'll be asking certain questions. You can just briefly give me some of the moments that has happened. I don't have a fancy music to start my segment, so I'll just do this like a parliament. So okay, so tell me, Rohit, any moment that you recall where you doubted yourself a lot, like that was the most uh, that dark period where you doubted yourself most during this journey.
there were a couple that comes to my mind.
Okay.
So 2011 में I moved to Akanksha. So I left TCS, took a salary cut, and then joined Akanksha. Uh, End of 2011, my mom passed away,
Yeah.
and I went into a lot of guilt that should I have supported her more, or should I have done something more, or
Yeah.
should I have kind of prioritized her life over my choices? Should I have been with her? Should I have moved to Balia? That's where I come from, right?
Yeah.
तो वो एक बहुत बड़ा कश्मकश था because it's actually see, career is not separate from life, right? Career is part of everything that's happening in life. So that was like a couple of months. It took a couple of months, in fact, a lot of therapy I had to take to really process it. But वहाँ पे वो एक डाउट था कि क्या मेरा डिसीजन सही था कि and it had happened just after 6 months I had moved into Akanksha, right?
Yeah.
So that was a time where I was very unsure. Then there have been many times, many days. So in Akanksha, I moved from impact role to a program called Social Leadership Program, where we would work with youth on their social and emotional development. So I think during that program in the classroom, there were so many times I लगता था यार नहीं कर पाऊंगा, right?
Okay.
Students would come and not come, or come and say things. Or it was teaching is not easy, right?
I'm sure.
And in my first 2 years, I was like, what the hell I'm doing? Am I even meant for this, right? So that was the first year. Like the program is called SLP. I think the the 3 years of SLP that I did have been the foundational for me, more than my college degree, more than any training that I've received. I think those 3 years have been really foundational for me to prepare my educational philosophy, right? तो उस वक्त बहुत डाउट आता था कि यार जो हम कर रहे हैं वो ठीक कर रहे हैं कि नहीं. एंड एक डाउट जो आई थिंक डाउट से ज्यादा सेल्फ डाउट से ज्यादा आई थिंक वो सिस्टम पे डाउट था कि जो हम ये बात करते हैं ना अनुश्री की एजुकेशन कैन चेंज एवरीथिंग.
Yeah.
That's actually not true. Because जो अमीरी गरीबी है फॉर एग्जाम्पल, राइट, वो इतनी entrenched है, and the problems of poverty are so nuanced, right? You can't just like teach them English and math and उनकी जिंदगी बदल जाएगी यार.
Yeah.
हमारी नहीं बदली, उनकी किसी की भी क्या बदलेगी, right?
Yeah.
It has to be education has to do the work of healing. और वो नहीं हो रहा था तो बड़ी फ्रस्ट्रेशन आती थी यार, मैं मतलब चीजें मूव नहीं हो रही हैं, चीजें बदल नहीं रही हैं, राइट? तो दैट डेफिनेटली वाज देयर. उस समय बहुत डाउट आता था, व्हाट द हेल आई एम डूइंग. अच्छा तो ठीक है, आई वुड हैव जस्ट बीन इन टीसीएस और एनी प्लेस लाइक दैट एंड वुड हैव लिव्ड माय लाइफ फाइन. वो towards the end of my time at Akanksha, I think I wanted to kind of understand that, do I want to kind of go and do more of I wanted to understand economics better. I want to understand the whole background of poverty and how poverty plays out, and how can we respond to it systemically, so that no young person or no child has to experience this kind of marginalization, right? And as I told you in the beginning, right, I started my educational journey बच्चों के साथ काम करना शुरू किया जब मैंने टीसीएस में था, तो क्योंकि मुझे वहाँ पे रहना अच्छा लगता था. It took time to develop a stand that why am I doing this? Why should this work happen?
Exactly.
Right? तो I think वो develop हुआ उसके दौरान, और बहुत ज़्यादा doubt खुद पे आता था कि मुझे नहीं आता. I think yeah, but it has, frankly अभी भी जैसे अब मैं तुमको recent example देता हूँ. As a CEO of Apnishala, I joined in 2019. I have been with Apnishala for so many years, like as a volunteer, then as a part-time person, etc. But then in 2019, I joined as a CEO. पहले साल में ही मुंबई में फ्लड आए, फिर गवर्नमेंट के रेगुलेशंस चेंज हो गए, फिर उस साल के अंत तक आते आते कोविड आ गया. So and when COVID happened, two of our biggest funders pulled out because of their own reasons, and then we were like at a place in April that we had to take some really big calls. I was like, yeah, am I the right person to lead an organization like this? And frankly, पिछले 2 सालों में कई बार ये सवाल आया, should I be doing this? Am I equipped to do this? Am I the right person to do this? Because this contextual realities are so harsh, right? रेगुलेशंस चेंज हो जाते हैं।
Yeah.
कोविड कॉन्टेक्स्ट में हम जिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में काम करते हैं, फॉर मेनी किड्स दे हैव मूव्ड क्विकली ऑनलाइन, बट आवर कम्युनिटीज कैन नॉट यार, उनके पास घर में खाना नहीं है, हम क्या बात कर रहे हैं, राइट? तो आई मीन ऑलमोस्ट आफ्टर 2 years of a pandemic, I will tell you,
Then you would.
only around 25% of the students can even access online learning on their parents' phones. That's the reality, right? तो उस समय सवाल आता है कि यार am I the right person? So definitely बहुत 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 बार आता है।
And it will continue, I guess. The self doubt is the journey, I guess. That's how you grow, maybe. That's how things move forward.
Yeah, no, I think self-doubt, what I've understood is that because we do a lot of work around emotions, right? These emotions are they come to us
Yeah.
as we live through life, right? It really depends on what is the system of support that we have, and how do we understand emotions. Self-doubt आएगा, guilt आता है, shame आता है, anger आता है, happiness आता है, joy आता है, everything comes and everything goes, right? So with that awareness, I think I have been also I've been blessed with a very good teams at different point of time. People around me within the organization, like अपनी शाला team, incredible. अपनी शाला exists because of the team. पिछले 2 साल में, frankly, when the funding issue happened, we told the team कि this very transparently. We set up a town hall. We spoke about it to the team कि ऐसा ऐसा situation है, salary cut होगा, job सबका change हो जाएगा, क्योंकि अभी online SCL करना कभी सोचा ही नहीं था ना, right? Everyone stuck, यार. Only one person had to leave because their family situation financially wasn't really great, but no one left the organization, and that speaks about the kind of people that you meet. So I also think that it's not just one person's journey. Every journey is a very collective journey.
Yeah.
I exist today, I'm talking to you today about my journey, but it's not my journey. It's our
It's a
journey.
collective
People have been
journey.
part of it. Yeah. Like, frankly, the joy that I have with my, say, graduation friends, 7-8 लोगों का group है, but we have stuck around, right, with each
Yeah.
other after 20-25 years now. My journey is their journey as well. Their journey is my journey. So I think this is how, when we have communities of people where we can genuinely love each other, genuinely care for each other, celebrate each other, pull each other once in a while, थोड़ा मजाक करें एक दूसरे के साथ,
Right.
तो I
right.
think फिर doubt या फिर guilt का थोड़ा space कम हो जाता है.
And it comes and it goes also, like
Yeah.
आएंगे and जाएंगे वाला.
Yeah.
All right. So on this note, I have another question which might be a bit similar, but I want to see if there's any other thing you want to add. I want to ask, like, are there any days or moments where you think that this whole thing is too exhausting and you want to quit altogether and do something else?
Yeah, many days. Many days.
All right. So it's very real, right?
Yeah. I mean, see, ultimately it's work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and work is energy. अगर energy होता क्या है ना, I'll tell you the problem of our world. हमारी दुनिया में ना, जो स्पेशली हमारे देश में जो ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट काम है, जैसे शिक्षा,
Yeah.
उसमें रिसोर्सेज इतने कम हैं कि जो लोग हैं वो ड्रेन हो जाते हैं. वो ड्रेन हो जाते हैं तो उनका काम खराब होता है, उनका काम खराब होता है तो रिसोर्सेज कम आते हैं. इट्स अ विशियस साइकिल. Like,
Yeah.
look at our teachers. Yeah, many teachers are sent on election duties, COVID duties. Who knows
During
what all?
COVID and everything.
And फिर उनको बोलते हो क्या क्या एक उम्दा पढ़ाई कराइए. अरे भाई, थिंकिंग लर्निंग का प्रोसेस है, मेंटल एनर्जी चाहिए ना उसके लिए. तो education, in fact, in some of the good countries where they have good systems of education, like Sweden हो गया, Denmark हो गया, many places like that, right, where their the top of the college graduates go to education, they become teachers. हमारे यहाँ कहाँ जाते हैं? Engineering, MBA. So, and it's also systemic, right? When you look at it, tax exemption को देखो, हमारे देश में कल्चर नहीं है दूसरों की केयर करने वालों को केयर देने का. अभी look at the tax exemption. There are certain sections of taxes that are exempted, like 100%, but NGOs का exemption is 50%. क्यों भाई? मतलब हम ये बोल रहे हैं कि इंश्योरेंस लिया, खुद के लिए कुछ लिया तो फुल टैक्स एग्जम्पशन, बट अगर एनजीओ को दिया, किसी दूसरे के लिए कुछ किया तो तुमको उसके लिए फायदा नहीं मिलेगा, राइट? सो हम किस तरह का कंट्री का कल्चर बना के बैठे हैं ना, तो उसमें जो ये एग्जॉशन है ना, ये सिस्टम से आता है. It comes from the ecosystem which is not supportive of this work. और वी डोंट हैव फंडिंग, तो उसके लिए फिर कम से कम पैसे में काम करना पड़ता है। फिर क्या होता है कि भाई जहाँ हम एक कार ले सकते हैं कभी कभार, वहां पे हमको हर वक्त ट्रेन में जाना है, तो वो थकान सिस्टम पैदा करता है। और and I think that's a sad reality of our country, and you see the impact of that, right? I mean, that's why we are where we are.
Yeah, true. I agree totally. And okay, so in on this note, I also want to ask probably the last question of this round is that during this entire journey, is there any moment or anything that gave you like something like an extreme happiness where you just felt like it was all worth it so far, whatever self doubts or ups and downs, it was all worth it? Was there any something that you can recall?
I think
Or it
it's
was the
more,
journey?
it's more than, it's like everyday things that happen that
Okay.
feels like, yeah, it's all worth it. I'll give
That's
you a
great.
couple of examples. So I have a student, let's call him Ashish, ठीक है?
Okay.
When Ashish came to my class, he had just finished his grade 10, and he had finished by 42% or something like that, right? तो
Okay.
उसके टीचर ने जब मेरे क्लास में भेजा था तो बोला था कि यार इसका बहुत ज्यादा कुछ होगा नहीं, बट आप रख लो इसको अपनी क्लास में, शायद कुछ हो जाए, ठीक है? टुडे he has completed his bachelor's in psychology. He work on social emotional development of other children. Okay.
That's a achievement.
Right? So
That's an achievement. Yeah.
and it is his achievement because
Yeah.
वो जो
Again, it
opening
is
होता है ना,
probably a collective
हाँ,
journey.
it is, yeah. So what happened for him was like क्या होता है ना कि जब आप 10th में होते हो, 11th 12th में होते हो, आपके पास कुछ लोग होते हैं, अच्छा सब कुछ बोलते हैं सीए कर लो, सेफ जॉब कर लो, साइंस पढ़ लो, जब लेकिन सोशल लीडरशिप प्रोग्राम हम लोग बात करते थे कि तुम्हें क्या करना है, राइट? एंड वी स्टार्टेड एक्सप्लोरिंग सेल्फ, एंड व्हाट हैपेंड वाज when I had to coach self awareness to my students, I had to become self awareness aware about myself also, right?
Yourself also.
So that was as you said, it was a collective journey, and we started doing it together, right? And in those moments, the things that get revealed, right, about yourself. I'll give you an example. We were talking about gender, and a female student was sharing their example कि क्या होता है घर में, मतलब डे टू डे क्या होता है, and very subtle examples of day to day discriminatory behavior of parents and families and society, जो हम नोटिस भी नहीं करते, right? And when she was done, and so मैंने as a teacher बोला, थोड़ा सहानुभूति दिखाने के लिए बोला मैंने कि thank you for sharing, I understand what you go through. So she said, no bhaiya, you don't understand, and you can't understand, and that's okay.
And that's okay. That's the highlight, I guess.
Yeah. So she is a 15-year-old girl, who understands that a man cannot understand what a young girl goes through.
And she's okay with it.
And she's able to let me be, forgive me for that, but also ensure that I know that what I said was not okay.
Yeah.
It is not okay to say that you understand, right?
That's commendable.
So, I think
this is another level of awareness that probably Apni Shala has been building from the SEL program or the programs that you deal with. Like, it's another level of awareness. It's great to have that in the kids, and I think that is something that's missing in our curriculum also.
I mean, it's not there only. It's not conceptualized. It's not there right now. It's not there. ऐसा नहीं कि कभी नहीं रहा है. There have been different curriculums, different curricula that followed in different parts of the country, parts of the world, which kind of has talked about a more holistic education. Our education system is primarily built around a colonial hangover. वो छूटा नहीं है, तो deal कर रहे हैं उससे.
That's great. Yeah. Okay. So with this, Rohit, I'll move to my next segment, which is a bit on a lighter side. And I would like to tell the audience, guys, if you have any questions, just shoot it up in the comment section, and we'll try to address as best as we can. And my last segment is called Rapid Fire. It's a borrowed concept, which goes in other shows as well. But this one is meaningful and insightful. So I'm sure most of us know what's a rapid fire. So I'll just start firing some questions, and Rohit, you can take like 30 seconds or something to just make it spontaneous and answer whatever comes first in your head. Okay. Uh, okay, so I'll start. Tell me, Rohit, most unnecessary stigma in the society that you find today.
लोग क्या कहेंगे?
If you can change one thing from this world, what would that be?
Uh, I don't know. I don't think I want to change anything in the world.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, that's
air quality maybe.
yeah, true. COVID. Okay, so if not this career, then what would you be? Where do you see yourself in a parallel universe?
I can't see myself in any other universe. This is it.
That's
This is where I
great.
had to be. Yeah.
Okay, so one line that you want to say to all the kids of coming generation.
I think there's so much of
One.
joy in all of us. I hope you find a space, a safe space, a brave space where you can live your fullest of the joys.
Okay, that's great. That's amazing. Okay, now complete the following sentence, and you can complete it in whichever way you want. Yeah, it's simple ones like happiness for you is
Being in the moment, being in the present moment.
okay, and money for you is
Enabler of certain things in life.
okay. So tell me, if you could go back in time and change one thing that you did, what would that be? Or there's nothing.
Oh no, there are many things actually, but one thing would be that I would have been by my mother when she died.
Okay. And tell me, what is that one thing that you would want to do right before you die?
I do want to have a bigger garden, not maintained by me, maintained by my
You
partner.
need a gardener also.
No, my partner does a good job of that.
Okay, that's great. That's great. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this brings me to the wrap of this incredible conversation. And I'd really like to thank Rohit firstly to agree to do this with me, and hope people find these conversations inspiring, and they keep on talking about these self doubts with their family, with their close ones, or with themselves, and introspect. Because I believe something that I've learned here is that that's the most natural thing to happen on the way to happiness. So, Rohit, I would like to ask if there's anything you want to say before we close the session.
No, I'm just grateful for you to kind of start this because I think these conversations are critical. हम बहुत ज़्यादा बात नहीं करते हैं और
Right.
but करनी चाहिए और सबको बात
Right.
करनी चाहिए.
That's great. That's the show. Talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, and thank you everybody who's watching as well. And some things like if you want to connect with Apni Shala, you can go to the website here. And for me, just like, share, and subscribe on our Instagram and Facebook. I had to really learn those words of like, share, and subscribe in this tone. It seems I blabber a lot on that. And if you guys have any feedback, please drop in the comments or send us your feedback on the email here. And the video that I showed in the beginning, I am understanding maybe there is some glitch or something. It was not very clear on YouTube. Then is the link to that YouTube video. It's there in my channel, so you can just go there and watch it to see what Apni Shala has been doing. And I would like to just end with the note that our next episode is scheduled for 19th of February. And that's also going to be another super amazing and interesting conversation. You'll know about the hows and whats and who late as we go along. And so do tune in. It's going to be a killer dose of laughter, if nothing. Okay. Thanks everyone. Thanks Rohit, and have a great day, guys. Thank you.
Thank you everyone.